if you could tell me briefly about your past history in sourcing venture capital. I'm not sure, did you source it for Foodzie?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, great.
So my company, Foodzie, it's an online marketplace for small artisan food companies to sell directly to consumers online. And we were based out of North Carolina until we applied for a program called Techstars, which I guess would be the first place that we sourced a little funding for the company.
Right.
Incubator program that selects 10 companies to come out to Boulder, and we came out for the summer of 2008, and they gave us $5,000 per founder, which is pretty much just enough to live on. And then at the end of the summer, which was 3 months, we had the chance to pitch to a bunch of investors. So they helped us over the course of the summer to really build those relationships and get to know a lot of the investor community, and then have the chance to pitch them. So we were really fortunate to, really have some strong connections even before we were looking to, actually raise the money. And then
and that seems to be the secret, doesn't it, to have the networks and the connections?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about relationships. I think,
yes.
It's just that they want to know who you are, and they have so much that like piles onto their desk, and to have some sort of filter or someone else that is you're referred by is, I mean, that's business.
Yeah.
Life in general. But
yeah.
So that's so at the end of the program that ended in August, and by October we ended up raising $1 million round of financing for the business.
Great.
So,
great.
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, you've done well. What personal lessons, being a woman, have you taken out of your successes and or failures in that regard? Well, obviously you've had no failures, thank goodness.
Well, I mean, I think it's less about being a woman as it is just as an entrepreneur. We were able to build those relationships while we were building the product, and get a lot of people who were passionate about what we were building involved. And I think, both showing that you have a strong team that can execute and that you're passionate about it, and that there's a market out there for what you're doing. The other things fell into place, and Techstars obviously was a huge part for us in having those, getting those early connections. But I think it was, being a female, male or female, was, I don't think had anything to do with it.
Absolutely irrelevant.
I think so.
Isn't that wonderful? Wow, that's such great feedback. What attitudes towards you being female have you noted from venture capitalists, like since when you've been sourcing venture? Have you noticed any difference or attitudes, I mean, positive or negative?
I mean, my team is three co-founders, myself and 2 male co-founders. So I think they look at us as a team, and I'd never had any kind of indication that like my gender had anything to do with any part of that. I mean, I have read some blog posts about women and funding and things like that, and maybe some negative experience people have had based on like a woman being the CEO, and maybe that not matching with the style of the venture capitalists and the way the companies run. Or I've seen posts about women being entrepreneurs or being a CEO because they potentially could have children and be pulled away from their business. So there's all kind of different perspectives, but I think if you work with good investors, which I'm thankful that we have the chance to do so, I think that they believe in you as an entrepreneur, and believe that, if you're passionate about it, that your gender doesn't have much to do with it. So
yes, that's fantastic. Well, it's great that you've seen the bright side of things rather than all those other stories. What qualities do you think women entrepreneurs need specifically for sourcing venture? Because it's a job in itself, really, isn't it?
What kind of qualities
that a woman needs that you would have noticed or noted or?
I think specifically for a woman, I mean, I feel like, again, it comes back to just being an entrepreneur in general. I think that,
what qualities?
As an entrepreneur, I think, you really need to be, I think the things I said earlier as far as, having your team that, has proven that you can execute on things and build something. And when we talk about venture capital, there's venture capital in all kinds of different areas of business. I'm particularly in, the tech world where, we were able to source money. So I think it's I imagine it's very different in different areas. So I can't speak to every type of business, but for this particular type of business, I think they like to see that you can build something pretty quickly. You have a well-rounded team who can do a lot with that little team. You know, passionate about that idea, and that you're willing to go. And I think that passion is a really important part to be able to get through. You know, there's a lot of ups and downs, and you know, and there's a lot of times when you're sort of uncertain. But if you can be if you're passionate about the why of like why you got into it in the first place, you're able to get through a lot of those like rough times. So, so yeah, and I think that people, you know, when you're raising capital, they know that you're trying to build a big business, that there's a lot to figure out. Yeah. So, I mean, those are just kind of some of the core things I think as an entrepreneur.
Some of the feedback I've had since I've been doing these interviews, both from some venture capitalists and some entrepreneurs, is that women need to be more bold. As far as sourcing venture particularly, but also being an entrepreneur, because there's much more risk entailed in that. And I even read a blog post the other day where an entrepreneur said, or it was actually a comment on one of those articles you've been speaking about, and he said that basically you have to be an explorer to be an entrepreneur. Because you're often in uncharted territory, in fact, most of the time, really. And that mainly men are explorers. I actually don't agree with that, but I just wondered if you've had any thoughts about that perspective about, you know, risk and being bold and confidence. These issues seem to be things that people have shared with me.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great thing to bring up. I mean, I do think you have to have confidence, and you have to be able to, you know, be bold to say what you believe and to stand behind it, and to have opinions and be able to, you know, be confident that you're no inferior for any reason, that you can stand there and, you know, and I guess for me, it's, you know, this business came out of an idea that came from previous work I was doing. So, you know, when we talk about strategy and things that all, like, you know, that surround the direction of Foodzie, whether it's with our board or other investors or mentors, it's like, why wouldn't I have an opinion just like anyone else? And, you know, but I think that comes from a certain, you have to have that kind of perspective. You have to have that kind of personality. And I was lucky enough that when I was in high school, I had a really strong female personality, and that was my chemistry teacher, who was just incredibly smart, and and challenged me more than I ever had been before in high school, and kind of made me feel like I could do anything. And so I think, you know, that probably helped serve me well to know that, like, oh, well, you know, this is one of the smartest, most talented, like, teachers that I've come across, and she's a woman, and she's telling me I can do anything, you know. So I think, and that's, you know, now almost 10 years ago. Well, more than 10 years ago.
So that's interesting, because many people do say that to me, that the role model piece is quite major, and that for women we haven't got as many successful role models, and some women mightn't have been as lucky as you as to have someone when you were young that you could look up to and know that, you know, give you that confidence that you could also achieve great things. So that seems to be a critical piece.
I think reflecting back, it's been a while since then, but I also, my dad, you know, I played sports growing up, and so he's, you know, there's something about that competitiveness, and, you know, I would, on Thanksgiving, going and playing football with, like, the boys out there, I never felt that sense of ever being inferior, that I could always you know, hang. So I think I've grown up with a sense of equality. And
so you're saying your father sort of encouraged you, didn't sort of put blinkers on the fact because you were a female. I could do whatever you needed to do. I mean, I think it started with that. I think a strong female role model early in high school, and then I also have a partner in life, which is Rob, who is also my co-founder. That we have our relationship is very equal in our personal relationship, so that carries over to the business, that carries over to other relationships I have with probably men in business and venture capital and all of that. Very good. Maybe it's all those things. Very interesting, thank you. in your opinion, what percentage of women would qualify then as regards having these qualities that we've just spoken about? Could they be developed? And if so, what are your ideas about how this could happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a lot of, women have a certain perspective on the world, or they go through life in a different way than men do, and can solve different problems. Mm-hmm. So I think women are equally, because the core of entrepreneurship is like being passionate enough to solve a problem, Yes. So I think women just have a different set of problems that they're probably more capable of fixing or solving than men. Yeah. But I think there are certain skills or personality traits or things that can sort of be coached to teach women to maybe some of the things that we talked about before. Yes. I mean, I think having that confidence that you can do it, and yes. Don't apologize. I think women yes. often apologize too much for things, and just that, I guess that goes along with the being bold. Have an opinion, say it, and don't feel.
And I've even had feedback during the course of these interviews that some women don't like to ask for money, and of course that's a big stumbling block if you've got to go for venture. Yeah. So there's a lot of bridges to cross for some women. But what you're saying is you see that most of those things that you see as qualities or strengths that you need to be an entrepreneur and also to source venture, that they're things that you could be coached in. And
yeah, I mean, I think there's some things inherently, if we look across entrepreneurs as a whole, like there are some things that are inherent that you have to be an entrepreneur, and I think that's male or female. Yes. But if there's if females have those things to be an entrepreneur, yet they maybe lack some of the confidence or some of those things, I think some of those things can be taught, like through strong role models, Yeah, I do.
And so what you're saying is really, as long as the basic innate qualities of that passion and that vision that an entrepreneur has, and wanting to make a difference in the world, and the ability to stand on their own often, if someone's got those qualities, then some of the other qualities easily to be coached.